Welcome to my bilingual channel and podcast, a new wind, un vent nouveau in French. My name is Marguerite, and I am really excited today to be discussing about women in Africa. Specifically, we will be discussing about the status of women in Africa. Today I'm multitasking. I'm recording the podcast, and I am also doing recording the video. So we'll see how it works out. Bear with me, please. Indulge me. So let's dive right into the subject. So when I was growing up in Africa, I did notice, I think everyone noticed that boys and girls aren't being treated the same. It's like any other places, really. It's like Europe, it's like America, it's like Asia, it's like Australia, and any other places nowadays where we know that men dominates the landscape. They dominate in every. They're most represented in politics. They have more access to health, to wealth, to loans and everything everywhere. So not only that, but they also influence our behaviors as a woman. Our trends and habits are often dictated by how guys men perceive us, and it's a man's world, really. There's a famous song that I can't remember the title, but that's okay. So, and Africa is no different really as of today. But from a personal standpoint, I myself and many African women grew up in societies that are culturally conflictual, extremely conflictual. So in our primary culture, women are strong leaders. They are they're strong with the personality and mind and so on. So we had the status in traditionally we had the status to voice our opinions, and we were iconic figures. And in these modern societies, it's very different. It's the opposite. We are less, we have less, we can do less, and we're indulged differently. So I can't help asking myself why, what happened, why did we lose so much, why Africa was originally named the motherland for a reason. And nowadays it's not the motherland anymore. It's a man's land. So first disclosure, okay. So I gotta say this. I don't believe in gender equality. So we're different. Boys and girls are different, not in a negative way, but different. And I think our needs must be assessed separately, and the solutions must be tailored to us, the women, not in the name of um, absolute equality. For example, women need more laws in terms of protection. It's obvious. So when you look at the rate of rapes and tortures and insecurities, we are hit the hardest. So we would need more laws for that to compensate. So, and going back to my latest question, which was why did we lose our status? And first, I need to briefly explain the traditional African landscape, and the easiest way to do it is to refer to myself. So, as a Manjako, that's my tribe. Women are the backbone of the culture, and we've occupied the same status as men. And the elder, regardless of the sex, is the guardian and the witness of the culture and also the authority. And women were allowed to divorce, remarry, own land, be a figure of authority, and to determine rank among boys and girls. And we had to go through different rituals. And that's old. I didn't go through any ritual. That's really old. That's traditional. So, and decisions were made during those rituals to arrange social positions. And of course, knowledge and skills can also determine your position in the household or the society. So, in most African cultures, women, just like men, were chosen to bridge the gap between the world of the living, the spirits, the ancestors, and the creator. And this is really important. It is crucial. In fact, it is crucial to my next analysis. Christianity and Muslim tremendously impacted our faith. Christianity was brought in Africa at the end of the first century, in the beginning of the second century. The Christian community in North Africa was among the earlier earliest in the world. Legend has it that Christianity was brought from Jerusalem to Alexandria by Alexandria is on the Egyptian coast by Mark, one of the four evangelists in year 60, very early. And in the 7th century, Africa was the first continent into which Islam spread from Southwest Asia, and almost today, almost 1/3 of the Muslim population resides in the continent. So the rise of those religions really competed with the local beliefs. So local beliefs, local ways, traditions, and ultimately Christianity and Muslim slowly became the new norms. I'm not saying that Africa didn't have any patriarchal lineage. We did, but nevertheless, historians abundantly documented and relics of ancient history show that Africa was majoritarily matrilineage. And we call Africa the motherland, like I said, for a reason. So my top seven my top seven cultures where women literally ruled are: I have the Serer in West Africa, the Ovambo in Southern Africa, the Nubian in the Nile, the Ngazija in the Comores, the Kansan in the Kalahari desert, the Magazine or the Berber in the northern Africa, and the Kom in Cameroon. These societies are traced back at least 2,000 years before Christ. The Serra, for example, is a tribe in West Africa. So they were first identified somewhere between the 11th and the 12th centuries. They're historically known as the tribe that long resisted to the expansion of Islam. The Ovambo are people, it's also a tribal people, predominantly from South Africa. And they are said to had moved from the upper regions of the Zambezi around the 14th century. And my last one, the Nubian from the Nile River, were originally from the Noba people considered as nomads. They occupied nowadays the North Sudan and the southern Egypt. So, in that same area, you can find that the earliest civilization were traced back up to 2,000 years before Christ. So, in a much recent history, I have Aline Sitoé Diatta. She was born in 1920 in Senegal. She was the southern leader of the resistance against colonialism. She was arrested and deported to Tombouctou by the French administration, where she was tortured and died in 1944. She was only 24 years old. So I have Hasiba Ben Boualim. She was a nurse from Algeria. At age 16, she was already a militant and a bomb setter during the Algerian Independence War. So that lasts from 1954 to 1962. In 1957, during the Battle of Algiers, she was killed when French forces bombed their hideout in the Kasbah. I have Malia Kamara, who was born in 1929. She was a Guinean independent activist. So what I'm trying to do right now is to show that traditionally Africa was matrilineage and had strong women leaded communities. And then slowly, even in the past history and much more recent history, women did have that status. And until Islam and Christianity become much more predominant in our realities, in our daily lives, things started to change. And I'll break this video down, and I'll break this essay into two videos. The first part is just to explain the traditional landscape, and the second part will analyze during the expansion of Islam and Christianity, what happened and how did women lose their status in Africa and how men gained status. So going back to Malia Kamara, she was from Guinea, and the February 9th was named the Guinean Women's Day in honor of her. So she became the leader of her women's section on her political party, and during a political fight, a local opponent named Almami David Silla in February 1955 broke into their house, into the Kamara's house, and Mbalia was there, heavily pregnant. He cut her open. He attacked her and cut her open with his saber. So she was rushed to the hospital. Her son was stillborn, and unfortunately, a few days later, Mbalia, on February 11th, she died from her injuries. So Mbalia's death was described as a galvanizing event in the history of Guinean independence struggle. At her funeral, it is believed that over 10,000 people attended. The song was written about her, about her sacrifice and how brave she was, and she is held up until today in Guinea as a model for Guinean women to follow. And I have Chief Funmi. That name is a little bit hard for me. Chief Funmilayo Ransom Kuti. She was born in 1900s in Nigeria, and she is known as the Lioness of Lazabe. She's good. So she was a political campaigner. She was an educator, women's rights activist, and a traditional aristocrat. So early, she had completed pioneer works in as a teacher, organizing some of the first preschool classes in the country, and arranging literacy classes for women. So during the 1940s, Ransom Kuti established the Abiyakuta Women's Union and fought for women's rights. She was famously described, as I said earlier, as the Lioness of Lazabe. I like that. I gotta say it one more time. The Lioness of Lazabe. She led marches and protests up to 10,000 people and enforced the ruling Alake, a dictator, to temporarily abdicate in 1949. Badass. Sorry for that. Ransom Kuti received the Lenin Prize, the Lenin Peace Prize, and was awarded the membership in the Order of the Niger. Really prestigious for her work. So in her later years, she supported her son when in the criticism of the military government in Nigeria. At age 77, she died from her injury when the military government raided her for family residence. And I have my last woman. Her name is Aminatu Zaria. She is known as the Warrior Queen, and she was born around 1533 in what we call now the modern North Nigeria. So she developed a certain talent very early for military arts and had extended her territory beyond its borders at that time. In the 16th century, Zazu became Zaria, one of the main cities in the state of Kaduna in North Nigeria. Her reign lasted 34 years, and she had made her kingdom the center of the trans-Saharan commerce. So, pursuing my previous argument, the male absolute domination in Africa came with the rise of the monotheist religion, and I name and the influence of the European cultures. So as Christianity and Muslim progressed in Africa, women started to lose their traditional status and roles, and we've become subject to men. Because Christianity and Muslim shadow women and raise men to the highest status. I'm not teaching you anything. So the men begin to take control of all aspects of the life. And traditionally, those religions, they advertise a strong male figure versus women followers. Everything is a matter of interpretation, some will say, or some can argue. And I can hear that argument. But check this. Abraham, Jesus, Muhammad, Moses, all of them, and much more. And I'm a Catholic and I read the Bible. I didn't see the name of a female prophet there. We were all followers, of course. And all those males were chosen by God himself to guide us. But women like Mary the Magdalena are denied their rightful role in the religion, for example. We do have Mother Teresa, but she's not a prophet. We also have Virgin Mary, Mother of Jesus. She's not a prophet either. So, all right, stay tuned with me. I'm going to develop more and explain deeper on the next video how women continue to lose their status in Africa because of the monotheist religion that I just named, the Muslim and the Christianity. See you soon.